Great. Hello, everybody, and thank you very much for joining us for this annual open meeting of the University of Manchester Alumni Association. It's great to see so many of you online for this, and I can very well appreciate you may have had more than your fill of online meetings over the last 18 months, so we really appreciate you taking the time to join us here, and thank you to so many of you for submitting your questions in advance of this. It's been fantastic to see. I am afraid there will be more questions than we'll have time to answer, but we'll do our very best to answer the most popular and numerous of those questions. So running this event online gives us the opportunity to speak to our global alumni community of 500,000 alumni. It's worth just taking a moment to let that sink in. 500,000 alumni in 190 countries, almost every single country across the world. My name is Marcus Carlson-Jones, and I'm part of the alumni relations team here at the university. And I'm delighted to be joined today by Professor April McMahon, the university's Vice President for Teaching, Learning and Students. So here to answer all the very many questions you have about things affecting student life and our teaching and learning. And Richard Screeton, who is head of the Alumni Relations Office here at the university. We were due to be joined by Catherine Leopold, the chair of the Alumni Association, but unfortunately she is suffering from a bout of COVID. So she's very sorry she's not able to join us today. And we hope she feels better very soon. So this is your opportunity to get an update on what's going on at the university, and also to ask your questions about the work of the university and of our alumni. We have provided you with some details about how to submit those questions, and I'll recap those in just a moment for your reference. Shortly, we'll be hearing an update on university activities from April, and then Richard will be updating us on what contribution the alumni community has made to the life of the university, which, as always, is very considerable. We'll also see 2 short films on our social responsibility work and the impact of your contributions to our appeals. We're obviously hugely proud of the work we've been doing in the social responsibility space, and we're taking the opportunity to celebrate that with you today. At the end of today's session, we'll be answering any questions that you submit. As I say, there's already more than we'll probably have time for. So we've used the power of democracy and Slido to invite you to upvote the most popular questions. So we'll essentially be addressing those questions that appear to be getting the most interest from all of you. So you can submit these questions via Slido. You can see the link for Slido across the bottom here. You can also use the QR code, which is either to the top left or top right of your screen. Using your mobile device, just use the camera over that QR code, and that'll take you to the right place to view those questions. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Professor April McMahon, our Vice President for Teaching, Learning and Students, to give us an update on university business. April, over to you.
Thanks very much, Marcus, and it's a delight to be here. I'm hoping to share a bit of news with you about what our university has been up to over this past action-packed year. And then very happy after Richard has spoken to take questions from you. Looking forward to that particularly, and to have a bit of a conversation. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you might be in the world. And you're very welcome, whether you are watching right now or whether you're going to join us at some time that suits you. So we have, I'm trying to think when we last got together. June 2020, we had the last of these sessions. And it was right at the height of the move online, the move off campus, which we had accomplished quite remarkably swiftly. Turns out to be even harder to get back on campus afterwards. It takes a bit more time and thinking about. When you leave, you sort of lock the door and off you go. When you come back in, there's an awful lot of things to be thought through. But I'm delighted that we're now at the stage where the very great majority of our activity in teaching and learning is back on campus. We had a lot of things we were thinking through and planning for when we spoke last in June last year. We were looking at the impact of the pandemic, the very swift move to online teaching, the impact that that might have on the university's revenue. We were looking at Black Lives Matter. It was exactly that moment in time. So where are we now? Well, the pandemic isn't over. We're not talking about return to normal, we're talking about return to new normal, but that's for some very good reasons. Oh boy, did we learn some things from going online at speed during the pandemic. And we don't want to lose all of those good things that we've learned. So we do have some impact still of COVID on our staff and our students and our alumni, of course. But as the new academic year has started, we've been much more back to on-campus teaching and learning and much more co-curricular experience for our students. So we can do sports, the shops are open, it's possible to get on a train and for them to travel and see things outside of town. We have continued to transform the lives of our community and staff and students very positively through the university's research on COVID-19 as well through this period. And many, many of our staff and students have been in the front line, looking after people, volunteering, serving the vaccination programme, saving lives all the way through the pandemic period. This year, we have been working to support our international students by underwriting the costs, reimbursing the costs of hotel quarantine for those coming to us from red list countries. We've also made sure that students coming in can have the COVID vaccine for free. Doesn't matter their immigration status, doesn't matter where they're coming from. And I'm glad to report that the great majority of our students have had their vaccine. We have moved from online learning to blended learning, where the great majority of our teaching is done online, but it's enhanced and complemented by some really excellent digital resources as well. And if I could explain that in the best way I know how, it's like thinking about the library. The library is fantastic. Lots of our staff and students like to physically go there and use the library and take things out or to work in the building. And that's the physical on-campus experience, but it's complemented by the most extraordinary digital library. So we've got over 2 million things in our digital library, and you can access it from wherever you are, whenever you want to. And you don't have to go there physically if that's not convenient for you or if it's not convenient for you right now. And those two things we need to have working in harmony. In teaching, in co-curricular, in resourcing, we've got the on-campus, we've got the online, and using those together, designing them in a really excellent way is what we want Manchester flexible learning to be for the future. So last year, it was completely online for many of our students. We could have students here who were doing very practical or clinical subjects, but for our humanities students, most of them couldn't even come back until the end of May 2021. And that was right in the middle of the exam period. So we know that that was really disappointing for a number of our students. They told us that our online provision was good. They just wanted to see their friends and be in the same space and actually meet academics face to face. And I don't fault them on that. So that's what we're trying very hard to provide this year. We are offering a remote study option for this semester, semester one, for some programs, non-practical programs. And that's especially for international students who just might not have been able to travel to join us yet. But the very great majority of our students are here now in Manchester, and they're really enjoying being back on campus. I'm in the office today. I've been out in the sunshine on the campus, and it is just fantastic to see so many people around the place and so many students really enjoying that experience. So forgive me dwelling on that bit for a little while, but it's very close to my heart, seeing students having a brilliant time. And that's what we were all missing when they were not able to be with us last year. We do know, though, that there are still relics of the pandemic. People are suffering. They are suffering financially. They're suffering in well-being and mental health terms. And we've ramped up our online mental health and wellbeing support for both our students and our staff. We have Together All, which is a 24/7 online community. It's mentored by trained clinicians. We've got a safe space there for students to get things off their chest. And they can also request one-to-one counselling or wellbeing advice, again with trained counsellors via our counselling service. We've got Res Life teams in halls of residence, which have been fantastically sociable but remarkably well behaved at the beginning of this semester. Again, it's just great for people to be able to get together and to do that safely. And we also provide a 24-hour mental health line for students to access support, and they're ready to provide that help and support whenever that's needed. So just to reassure you, we're not saying, oh, well, it's all over now. We go completely back to normal. We know that people really need their hands to be held through this period of re-entry, if you like. We have had a very active period of student recruitment and admissions this year. Those of you who keep up to date with these matters will know that A-levels, our main entry qualification for students coming to join us, shifted to having teacher-assessed grades rather than exams this summer. And that shift was announced in February 2021, so after almost all of our offers had already gone out. And we did see a significant uplift in levels of attainment through those teacher-assessed grades. And that was particularly concentrated in the higher grades, the A and the A star, and that's the people that we recruit predominantly. So you'll understand we've got a legal obligation to take any student who meets or exceeds the terms of their offer with us. And we've therefore over-recruited this year in some very popular, very high tariff competitive courses. So everything from computer science to law and some other areas of social sciences and some areas of engineering. And in capped clinical areas, optometry, dentistry, medicine, we worked really closely with government. There was a swap scheme where they helped us to place some students who'd met their terms of their offer, but we simply couldn't take because we're not allowed to take more than our capped numbers in those areas. And so most of those students did find a place elsewhere, but we have got some who are deferred until next year. Wouldn't be safe or responsible, even if we were allowed, to bring in extra medicine or dentistry students if we can't guarantee them the placements that they need to get their clinical qualification. Now, the thing that we kept saying as a mantra all summer was, none of this is the students' fault. They've done exactly what they were asked to do. They've done whatever assessment their school or college has thrown at them. They've done really well. And isn't it fabulous they've wanted to come and join us in Manchester? And I would hope as alumni, that's the attitude that you would want us to have in that situation. But it does mean that we have been giving extra support through welcome and induction. And we know that there will be extra calls on some of our support and other services through the course of this year. We've been recruiting extra staff, especially teaching staff, to support with those additional students. It is brilliant, though, as I said before, to see so many students back really enjoying life in Manchester. And it's been really exciting to be part of a proper on-campus welcome week this year. Some other bits of news. We've got a wonderful new director of equality, equality, diversity and inclusion, Banji Adewumi, and she has joined us from the health sector. She's bringing fantastic cross-sector experience for us. And we have promoted EDI to be a full directorate in recognition of the importance of all of that work on all kinds of diversity to us. We're also working in teaching and learning with our Disabled Students Society to make sure that their points of view are taken on board in any innovations that we are developing. And for instance, just to give you an example of what we're doing, we're reactivating our active bystander training, which encourages participants to notice and to act on any particular problematic situations that they might observe, and to really feel confident in preventing microaggressions of all kinds. We continue to be the most targeted university by the UK's top 100 employers for the third consecutive year. And can I just encourage any recent graduates, about 15 months after graduation, you will be contacted about the Graduate Outcomes Survey. And it's really important that you fill that in and you do make contact when you're approached. It is very, very helpful for our current students and for us to be able to understand what you're doing and how you're progressing in your career. So we really hope you'll respond positively to that when it comes your way. We're now ranked 27th best university in the world by the QS World Rankings. That's maintaining our highest ever position. We have just opened the Manchester Engineering Campus Development, MECD, which, I can tell you, it is the most fabulous environment for our students. And while it's not yet open for our academic staff who will be joining MECD next summer, I'm kind of pleased that the students get in first. And they have colonised MECD. They are using it for all kinds of interdisciplinary interactions, working in the informal teaching spaces. Very, very exciting new part of our campus, and really brings our science and engineering colleagues and students from North Campus onto our main campus here as a full part of the family. We are currently thinking about how we celebrate our big birthday as a university, 200th anniversary coming up in 2024. And we are just thinking about how to celebrate that. We would love to hear any ideas that our alumni community might have. And it's been brilliant to get back to some proper on-campus events. It's lovely still to do some things online. This is really inclusive, doing something like this, because all of you from around the world can join us. But we did celebrate Foundation Day for the first time in 2 years in October. That marks the formation of the new university. And as part of celebrations, we gave a number of honorary degrees. It's invidious to pick out one because there were so many amazing candidates. But we did give the England and Manchester United footballer Marcus Rashford MBE his honorary doctorate. He was the youngest recipient of an honorary doctorate from us. And that special ceremony took place at Old Trafford. And it was in recognition of his ongoing charity work, the amazing campaign against child poverty, as well, of course, as his outstanding sporting achievements on the pitch. Turning to social responsibility, and just two things to cover now. Social responsibility, you'll have seen, I hope, that we were ranked #1 in the world in the Times Higher Education Impact Rankings, and that's to recognise our contribution in terms of social and environmental impact towards the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. It's good to mention that this week, isn't it, with COP26 going on up the road in Glasgow, so very relevant for us there. It's the first time in the 3-year existence of that ranking that a UK university has come top, and we are the only UK institution in the top 10 this year, and that's out of 1,200 universities from 98 countries. So this is a big win for us. We're really proud of that. And that's just 10 years after we made that bold decision to say social responsibility is one of our top 3, our real pillars, alongside research and innovation and teaching and student experience. And finally, graduation. It broke our hearts, and I know that many of you feel much the same, that we could not, for safety reasons and in light of government guidance, do on-campus graduation for the last couple of cycles. But we are rescheduling those ceremonies for graduates who want to come and join us in Manchester and take their degree in a graduation ceremony. And we're going to be rescheduling those for spring or summer 2022. And we will, of course, keep you up to date when we've got dates for those. We know that you'll be keen, if you want to come, to make travel arrangements and to have that all secure in your diary. So we are still planning when, but we're not planning if. We will be rescheduling those ceremonies for you, and we'll be back in touch with you about that as soon as we possibly can. So that's where we are. And I am now going to hand over to Richard Screeton, and he is going to tell you a bit more about how you, our alumni community, have been involved in all of this important work. And I look forward to interacting and to answering your questions later. Thanks very much, Richard.
Thanks for that, April. Thanks very much for that update. Yep, so as April mentioned, I'm Richard Screeton. I'm head of the Alumni Relations team here at Manchester. Just before I go into my update, at the end of April's address there, she mentioned our success in the Times Higher Education ranking on social impact. And so we wanted to show you a short film about our work in this area from the university's Director of Social Responsibility, Julian Skirm. So if we could play the video, please.
We are unique in having social responsibility as one of our core goals. A lot's happened in the last 3 years. So Julian, you've got 3 minutes to tell us what we've achieved in that time.
Okay then, so 3 minutes, let's go. We've been Britain's top ranking institution for impact against the UN Sustainable Development Goals for 2 years in a row. We committed to becoming a zero carbon university by 2038. We are divesting from fossil fuel and other carbon intensive investments. We've become an accredited living wage employer. We've received a gold watermark for our work on public engagement. Okay, let's delve into social inclusion. Our Manchester Access programme has supported more than 2,000 local students from families with no experience of higher education into our university. Through our Equity and Merit programme, our university and our donors have supported more than 300 international master's students to lead on sustainable development in their home countries. More than 1,000 staff and alumni have contributed to leadership in state education through our School Governor initiative. We've supported more than 4,000 local people into work through our unique partnership, The Works. We are one of the few universities in the UK to hold a charter mark for race equality. Okay, better health. More than 3,000 of our students graduate in healthcare programmes each year. We formed Health Innovation Manchester to help transform the health and well-being of Greater Manchester's 2.8 million citizens. Over 3,000 leaders have benefited from our NHS Leadership Academy. We actively involve more than 800 patients and the public each year in our research and education. Okay, environmental sustainability. Our science led directly to the creation of a zero carbon pathway for Greater Manchester. We've already eliminated more than 250,000 pieces of avoidable single-use plastics, with more to come. 15,000 undergraduate students have engaged in our annual sustainability challenge. We've planted more than 300 semi-mature trees on campus. More than 2,800 staff commute by active travel. We receive more than 1 million public visitors to our 4 cultural institutions each year: the Manchester Museum, the Whitworth, John Rylands Library and Jodrell Bank Discovery Centre. We've launched a multi-million-pound Creative Manchester project to champion culture and creativity in Greater Manchester. We play a key role in Manchester's History Festival, Literature Festival and International Festival. Around 4,000 local school and college students use our library facilities each year. Our annual Blue Dot Festival of Music, Science and Culture is the only one to be held on a University UK campus. Our capital programme will allow us to become the most inclusive, caring and imaginative museum you might encounter. Our Jodrell Bank Observatory has been awarded UNESCO World Heritage Site status. We've established a natural and cultural health service out of our gallery here in the park, the Whitworth. So what else have we got? We've launched a pioneering Stellify initiative to enable every student to make a difference. We've recognised more than 150 social responsibility initiatives as part of our annual Making a Difference Awards. Our staff have contributed more than £1 million to charities through our payroll giving scheme. We signed the global SDG Accord to embed sustainable development in all that we do. And I've walked more than 10,000 steps in the making of this film.
That's impressive, and almost within 3 minutes. We have committed to keeping social responsibility as one of our 3 core goals in our new vision and strategic plan. So watch this space for even more achievements in the next 3 years.
Hi, welcome back everyone. I hope you all enjoyed that. So you, our alumni, are involved in many of the programs that Julian mentioned in that video. So as Marcus mentioned in his introduction, unfortunately, Catherine Leopold, who's chair of the Alumni Association, has been unable to join us. So in her place, I'm going to give an update on the work of our alumni, and we're delighted that our alumni have continued to support the university and our students and our communities during the pandemic. We've adapted how you involve you in our work, and you've responded fantastically, running programs online that's provided the opportunity to expand participation globally with great effect. It's no longer just those alumni who can participate in person getting involved. And as a result, we've doubled the number of countries that we have alumni volunteering, which is great. In the last academic year, more than 2,200 alumni volunteered to support our programs, with well over 5,000 recent graduates and current students and prospective students benefiting that work. And I know that many of you have participated in and indeed led activity in your own regions under the Manchester banner, not just supporting students, but also your local communities. So you've been organising blood drives, you've been organising tree and mangrove planting, beach cleanups, swap parties, even turtle release programmes. And we're always looking to find new ways that our alumni across the globe can participate in programmes like this. So thank you. One of these activities is Manchester Day of Action, which hopefully many of you will have heard of. Manchester Day of Action, it's a global activism programme, and it inspires our alumni to support the university's social responsibility mission. And it's been recognised as the best alumni programme in Europe by our industry body, CASE. Even during the pandemic, Manchester Day of Action continued to harness the enthusiasm of our global alumni to support the university's social responsibility agenda. And inspired by Manchester Day of Action, our alumni community adapted to socially distanced and online volunteering, which led to the worldwide Manchester Run. Now, this was a simultaneous online charity event which happened globally and which runners participated in via Zoom. So in September 2020 and again in May 2021, alumni participated in 2 virtual online runs, raising money for our student hardship campaign and also local causes. And it was a collaboration between all 4 of our global centres in Dubai, in Singapore, Shanghai and Hong Kong, and 6 of the alumni associations in those regions. Now, the worldwide record attempt formed part of the Guinness World Record attempt, and unfortunately, despite everybody's huge efforts, the record attempt was not successful on this occasion. So we'll be updating those of you who participated shortly about that. As well as social responsibility, you're also supporting our recruitment work, and alumni advocacy forms a key part of Manchester's recruitment programmes. Our alumni are the best advert for the university. So in collaboration with global centres, you've been acting as ambassadors to advise and refer prospective students to programmes. And the move to online open days and recruitment panels has meant that you've been able to involve hundreds of alumni with first-hand knowledge of studying at Manchester to speak to prospective students around the world. At panels promoting undergraduate and master's courses, alumni have showcased not only employment benefits, but the impact that a degree from Manchester can have on as a whole. Now, widening participation in higher education remains a key part of our mission. Our alumni are heavily involved in this as well. And one of the great examples of this is the Insight to Uni mentoring programme, where we've teamed up with the organisation with Insight to support online mentoring, a series of professional networking events to connect sixth form pupils from African, Afro-Caribbean and mixed race heritage with our alumni. And then in terms of employability support, globally, our regional centres and alumni groups, and in the UK, are providing network events, forums, seminars, summits, roadshows, panels to enable students and graduates to share their expertise and use their networks to progress their careers. Our global centres have also been partnering with organisations including the British Chamber of Commerce, the British Council, the International Compliance Association, and a range of other regional organisations to host collaborative events which connect students and alumni with industry. And our Global Graduates Programme, which is run from here in Manchester, which in a typical year would see students from disadvantaged backgrounds travelling to global destinations for meetings with alumni hosts, took place online so that 200 students could meet 100 alumni in Singapore, Kuala Lumpur, Dubai, New York, San Francisco, London, Zurich and Toronto. And in our UK programmes, the diverse range of experience and skills of our alumni is reflected in the themes that you've advised our students on, range from fashion to midwifery to marketing to aeronautical engineering to psychology and banking and finance and IT, just a range of others. And despite the pandemic, our alumni have continued to attend our events, and our virtual events like this one today have captured new audiences. One highlight of the series of events has been President and Vice-Chancellor Dame Nancy Rothwell, and that event reached alumni in China, India, Southeast Asia, the Middle East and North Africa. And our flagship Cockcroft Rutherford lecture was this year delivered by historian, broadcaster and filmmaker David Osogbonbi. He's our Professor of Public History, and that lecture was attended by alumni from 40 countries with 2,200 ultimately living it online. If you've not been able to attend one of our events, our podcast series, Your Manchester Stories, is a great alternative. And this series features conversations and reflections on their time at Manchester with your fellow alumni, notable alumni like people like comedian and writer Ben Elton, co-founder of Extinction Rebellion Dr. Gower Bradbrook, Tag Warner, Chief Executive of Gay Times, and Professor Brian Cox. You can listen to Your Manchester Stories wherever you get your podcasts. And I can't finish without mentioning your generosity and the donations that you've made to the university and to our students. During the pandemic, the university launched the Emergency Hardship Fund, and this raised over 1.6 million for our most in need students, with the support of over 3,000 donors from 80 countries. This was the most successful fundraising campaign of its kind in the UK. So to those of you who did donate, please let me take this opportunity to say thank you once again. More than 2,000 students benefited directly from the fund. And we're also incredibly grateful to thousands of generous alumni who supported this spring's student support appeal. Thanks to you, a record number of disadvantaged students have been able to join us at university. And you can make a one-off or regular gift at www.manchester.ac.uk/donate. As well as supporting our students, alumni have played an important part in supporting research through their donations into areas like stroke, cancer and COVID-19. Currently fundraising to create a world-leading new cancer centre in Manchester. You can find out more by visiting www.manchester.ac.uk/right. And finally, I've got a call to action for you, and hopefully it's quite an exciting one. We're very sad to announce that next year will mark the end of Lem Sisay's 7-year tenure as the university's Chancellor. In his time as Chancellor, Lem's extensively promoted the university and wholeheartedly engaged in everything that we've done. And in that same time, he's won the Points of Light Award from the UK Prime Minister. He's been BAFTA and RTS nominee, and he's written a best-selling memoir ranked Book of the Year by many critics. He was recognised with an OBE in the Queen's Birthday Honours List for his services to literature and charity. And while we're sad to see Lem go, the good news is that graduates of the university have the opportunity to vote for a new Chancellor. Now, in order to participate in the election, you need to ensure that you have a current email address registered with us by the 31st of January 2020. If you heard about today's event by email, or if you're currently receiving emails from us, you don't need to do anything. We have got an up-to-date email address for you. But do pass this news on to friends who are alumni who have not been receiving emails from us, so that they can have the opportunity to vote as well. You can update your email at manchester.ac.uk/update. And the election itself, the new Chancellor, will happen in May 2022. So that's just a flavour of how you, our alumni, are supporting the university. I think we've got plenty of questions coming in. So Marcus, do you want to pose the first question to us?
I certainly will. I just cannot believe Lem Sisse has come to the end of his term. It seems like yesterday when he started. So April, I think you've covered this in your remarks. And also, sorry, before I throw this question to you, April, I'll just say that some of the questions that you've submitted have been addressed within Slido. So do check on Slido to check if you've asked any very specific questions where we can redirect you to websites or relevant email addresses. Just check there to see if your query has been answered, and that will be the best way to direct your query. But the most popular question by far is regarding graduation ceremony. So I know you've already talked about this, April, but I'll read this question that was pushed up the list from Mahmoud Parsi, who asked one of the most popular questions. I had a virtual graduation. When can I attend an in-person one? I've heard there is one in November or December.
So there is one in December. But that is only for people who would be due to graduate from mostly postgraduate programs this year. So we're not extending that scheduled set of graduation ceremonies further for people who have not had the opportunity to graduate yet from previous years. So we're getting back to business of regular graduations in December. But the rescheduled opportunities will be in spring or summer 2022. And we haven't got those scheduled yet in terms of dates, but we're just narrowing down what the best option is. And there's a range of things to take into account there. When can we be confident that you're going to be able to get accommodation in Manchester for you and your friends and family and supporters if you're travelling from outside Greater Manchester? When are we confident that there's going to be travel availability again? And we want to be well outside, the seasonal flu and respiratory virus time of the year. We don't want to do anything that would exacerbate any pressure on the NHS. So that's how we've come to the reschedule periods of either spring or summer. As soon as we've got precise dates for you, you can be sure that we'll let you know. There's also somewhere that you can check in on the website. There's a graduation section of the website where you can look for further information, and we'll put the updates there as soon as we've got them. So the main thing to reassure you about is that we will be providing an opportunity for you and for your cohort to come back and do an in-person graduation in the Whitworth Hall on the campus. And we will be doing that during 2022.
Thank you very much, April. So another very popular question, which I believe has been touched upon at least by the video with Julian Skirm on social responsibility, but I'll ask it here to Richard, if I may. John Broderick asked, what progress is the University of Manchester making towards net zero? Can you tell us about reductions planned for in the next 5 years, so we're reassured targets and not just blah, blah, blah?
Yeah, okay, so We're committed as an institution to being carbon neutral by 2038. That's in our new strategy, which was published last year. And that's in line with the goal of Manchester as a city to be carbon neutral by 2038. So that's our overarching ambition. Obviously, that's a big challenge for a university of the size. That's the goal. In terms of targets over the next 5 years, so a few examples of the targets that we've got. We're looking to reduce carbon emissions from a baseline in 2018 of 54,000 tonnes of CO2 to at least 21,000 tonnes of CO2 by 2025. We're looking to have 99% disinvestment in fossil fuel extraction by 2022. And we're looking to eliminate use of avoidable single-use plastics by 2022 as well. So they're some examples of the targets that we're setting ourselves as a staging post towards the kind of net zero target. But rather than me reeling off a raft of statistics here, there is quite a good resource on our website, which is sustainability.manchester.ac.uk, where there are lots of kind of details on the specific plans and the specific actions that we're taking.
Thank you very much, Richard. So if I may flip back to April and invite you to do some jargon busting, if you're up for it. Can you explain, this is from an anonymous questioner, can you explain what hybrid learning actually is? What does it actually mean in practice?
Yeah, absolutely. So we use a whole range of different terms at the moment in the sector for this, and so it's no wonder people are still confused. We talk about flexible, we talk about blended, we talk about hybrid. What all of those things mean is the best bits of in-person and the best bits of online. So we want to be using both of those things in future. We use both of those things already. We did before the pandemic. So those of you who've graduated from Manchester over the last few years, you'll know that we have podcasts of most of our lectures. So they might take place on campus in person, but they are captured and stored up, and students can access those later to catch up for revision. They can re-watch the sticky bits, the bits that they didn't quite get the first time around, as much as they like. We know that students actually use that resource in a really sensible way. All the stats tell us they watch about 13 minutes, and it's not the first 13 minutes and then they go, oh no, I can't be bothered with this. It's the bit that they didn't get the first time, or the 2 bits that they didn't get the first time. So hybrid means that kind of thing. It means most of our teaching for programs that are on-campus programs will be delivered in person on campus, but it's enhanced by other opportunities for learning which are digital. And if I just give you one more example, back in the day, certainly when I was a student, you had to learn by going and sitting and listening to a lecture to get information. We're a little bit more sophisticated than that now, and students definitely are. And what we're starting to think is, well, wouldn't it be better if they had the opportunity to engage with some of the basic information before they go into the lecture or the teaching space? And then you can do more interactive stuff when you're actually all in one place together. So hybrid also means somebody might upload a video, 10 minutes, 12 minutes. Right, here's the basic topic we're going to be covering in the class on Wednesday. And you can watch or listen to that whenever you fancy. Walk into the shops, standing at the station, sitting in, doing your cooking in the evening in your home of residence, whatever you fancy. You go into the class, you've kind of got that, or you know what your questions are about it. And then we do what's called flipping the classroom, so that in that classroom situation, students are able to interact, they can ask questions, the lecturer can say, so what do you think that means for this kind of situation? And so hybrid actually means that we give students a bit more control about how they do some of their learning, And we bring them together to get the absolute best out of on-campus teaching when they are able to take part in that. I hope that helps a bit with the jargon busting.
Thank you, April. I would have loved that as a student. I would get my notes home sometimes and have to look at someone else's because I sometimes couldn't read my own handwriting.
We all have days like that.
Yeah, if you're left-handed as well, it's particularly problematic. A very popular question here, and you again mentioned this in your remarks, April. So I'll pick out one anonymous questioner asking, when will the alumni be given remote access to the library resources in this fabulous digital library resource?
Yeah, so I'll take that one. So all alumni can access the library on campus, but obviously I appreciate that a lot of you aren't local to Manchester. So we do provide online access to many of the library resources for alumni. So for things like JSTOR, Sage Journals, Business Source, Henry Stewart Talks, the Sustainable Organisation Library, ProQuest, Adam Matthew. So we provide all of these services already. I appreciate there may be services beyond that which you want to be able to access. You do have to balance demand for these things with the cost of subscriptions. So there's always a decision to be made there. If there are specific services we get a lot of demand for, then you can email alumni@manchester.ac.uk and we can look into the possibility of it. We've recently changed the way that you access your library resources as well, if you're an alumnus. So it's worth me updating you on that as well. So all you need to do is to complete a form on your.manchester.ac.uk, and the specific link for it, you'll find it by browsing around, but the specific link is your.manchester.ac.uk/services/discounts/e-resources. If you complete the form there, we'll send you a password so that you can access the resources there. So we do provide a lot of online resources. I appreciate there's always more one, but yeah, so let us know if there are particular services that you'd be interested in.
Thank you very much, Richard. So this next question, again, anonymous question, and I'll address this to April, if I may. They ask, there is only one black member of the University of Manchester senior leadership team. Everyone else is white. How can this be for a global, so-called global university? What is being done to address it?
Well, I touched on this a little bit when I talked about the appointment of Banji Adewumi, who is our new Director for Equality, Diversity and Inclusion. Now, that's not me saying, well, Banji will solve it, but I think it's really important that you know that we recognise that we could and should be doing better in a number of areas of inclusion. Also, that we are taking practical steps to address that. So Banji is revitalising the already very good and important work that we're doing in EDI. She's going to be working alongside our incoming director I'm trying not to say human resources, because that's what it used to be called, but it's now people and organisation development. Adele McKinley, she's just joined us. And they are absolutely on a mission to help and support us in doing what we want to do as a socially responsible institution. And that is to do better. That's not just at senior team level, but it's making sure that we monitor and act on, which we do, any differentials in pay according to people's characteristics, any differentials in awarding of degree classifications, depending on a student's particular characteristics, and that we are as open and as representative an institution as we can possibly be. So yes, we know we need to do better. You pick one example, there are lots of them, and we are bringing people in with a real agenda and an appetite for change.
Thanks so much, April. That's a fantastic answer. The next question I have is, I'm not sure whether to throw this to Richard or to field it myself, to be quite honest. But this is a question from anonymous questioner. How can we form an alumni section in Bangladesh? Appreciate your guideline. How can we send alumni news to be published in Manchester Magazine? I think I'm going to have a go at doing that because it's kind of in my remit to work with our international alumni groups as part of our international alumni engagement. So the answer is if you, and this is a general comment for queries that alumni have, we've got an alumni inquiry inbox, which is alumni@manchester.ac.uk. You can also contact me directly about forming or joining international alumni groups. And we quite recently appointed an official alumni contact based in Dhaka in Bangladesh. So what I would do is invite you to get in touch with me if you're interested in connecting with your local group, or if there isn't a local group and you want to form one. Again, that's something I can talk to you about. And what I'll do is I'll either put you in touch with the local contact, the local group, and we are always welcoming of new volunteers to help organise activity and connect the alumni network where you are with 500,000 graduates all over the world. The work of those that network of alumni groups is absolutely vital in allowing you to realise the huge benefit of that network that you're a part of. So the answer to that one is there is also a section on our website, which is if you go to your.manchester.uk and you find the page for global networks, there is actually a directory there for all of our international alumni group contacts. But if you have any queries about that, as I say, get in touch with our alumni email address or with me directly. So I think we've got a couple more minutes to answer a question. And there's one I picked out that I'm going to address to April. It's got a very long range kind of futurology feel to it. So an anonymous questioner asked, what courses or degrees do you think 10 years from now the future student population will want to enroll onto? So perhaps something you've been having a think about.
It's a really interesting one because it goes along with a question about what jobs will there be in the future that we don't know, that don't exist now, you know. And there are some estimates that say that maybe 20-25% of jobs that our graduates will be doing in 20 years are things that we can't even conceive of at the moment. So I guess one answer is the kinds of degree programs that service the kinds of jobs that don't exist now but will exist in 20-25 years time. And I say that with confidence because we've got we've got a real excellent market insight team that is constantly out there talking to employers and saying, where do you think the skills gaps are? Where do you think the coming thing is in your particular sector that we could be tweaking our existing programs to make a good fit with, or where we could be bringing new degree programs in. The other thing is that I see the world becoming more interdisciplinary. And I'm sure that many of you feel that that's the case too. You can be a graduate in virtually anything, but you might have benefited from doing a unit in entrepreneurship, or a unit in running your own business, or a unit in coding, or a unit in cyber, whatever the next cyber thing might be. And that's the kind of thing that we also want to be providing for our undergraduates and our graduates, is an opportunity to say, yes, I know I want to work in theatre, or yes, I know I want to be a physicist, or I want to be a dentist. But do you know what? I'm really interested in some of these interdisciplinary big questions and big issues. And so all of our programs, or as many as possible, in the years to come. I would like to see having opportunities for students to study our fantastic interdisciplinary units that we have through the University College for Interdisciplinary Learning, for instance, UCIL. And they've got everything from AI to leadership to the UN Sustainable Development Goals, actually, that you can study often online. And, you know, look into the future. I'd really like us to be extending our flexible learning to our alumni community, and to be saying, well, you know, maybe you do have a degree from us already, or more than one, but wouldn't you like to do a little bit of updating? Wouldn't you like to do a little bit of continual professional development? Wouldn't you like to do something just for fun, you know, that broadens the horizons a little bit? So I think that we'll be breaking boundaries in the next 20-25 years between disciplines, between what's a degree and a top-up, continuous, flexible, lifelong learning, and also supporting students by including other practical skills and units within their degrees.
Thank you so much, April. And that is all the time we have for questions. I'm so sorry to everyone whose question we hadn't managed to get around to. We've done our best to pick out the most popular and the most highly voted ones. I'm going to hand back now to Richard, who has a little bit more information to share with us.
Thanks very much, Marcus. Yeah, so just to wrap up, really, in my update earlier, I mentioned the impact that your donations as well as your time can make on our students. And so as a way of saying thank you to our donors, one of our students, a member of the Students' Union, Nana, who's one of our student union officers, wrote and performed a piece of spoken poetry for us, and it's really quite something. So we want to share this with you now. So yeah, if we can play the video, please.
Within these walls, childhood dreams become realities. These seats you see have bet champions of the past and will shape the leaders of the future. In these lecture halls, every student takes a course on self-discovery. Whether it's an amateur or professional, slowly you will be shaped by the Manchester ideology. Cognitio Sapientia Humanitas. Knowledge, wisdom, humanity. This is the Manchester story, but it is incomplete without you, our donors. You are co-authors of the stories of thousands of students who receive your generosity. Whether a pound or a million, you have created flames that will ignite hidden passions, a renewed hope for a struggling student. You are the reason why a brilliant student can say yes to Manchester. You have not just given money, but you have become part of a living legacy. Every pound you have given is a seed that will grow to become trees. Trees that will bear fruit for homes, communities, countries, and continents. So one day, when our students are clad in their graduation gowns with eyes that glow with pride and smiles that tell a story of how far they have come, in the depth of their hearts will be everlasting gratitude to those who made their journey possible. Lecturers, support staff, janitors, security, family, friends, and you, our donors. We are proud to call you partners.
Okay, so yeah, just to sum up by saying thank you to all of our alumni, donors and volunteers who've contributed to the last year's achievements. Final call to action, just a reminder, please do ensure that you keep your email up to date with us at manchester.ac.uk/update, not least so that you can participate in next year's Chancellor's elections. Today's meeting has been recorded and will be available online, and we'll share the link via our next newsletter. And thank you very much. Thanks for joining today. We hope that you'll continue to support us in the future. Thank you very much.